Welcome back to Low Expectations in Public Education. Today I'd like to follow up on a recently published entry around our gate receipts and athletic events here in our district. If you watch that entry and you immediately thought of the volunteers that are actually working the gate, handing out the tickets, collecting the money, and what have you, you missed the point. The point of the entry previously was to really highlight and illustrate the gaps in our processes and procedures. The folks that work at the gate, they're volunteers, and I am very much appreciative of the fact that they do. If you know me, you know that I am a teacher advocate, and I am an advocate for any educator who works within our schools to have a positive impact on our students, children, and athletes. I'm appreciative of any hour that somebody or any time somebody were to volunteer in our district, whether it had to be at the gate or whether it be at a PTO event, whether it be in our classrooms, whether it be coaching, whatever it may be. That's what makes our community great. Within that blog entry, I did review just two examples of many to highlight the gaps. The first, the $30, it's an error. And if the proper controls were in place, it would have been caught before the deposit was made, and then the question of where's the $30 would never have been asked because we didn't know. The second example, a highly touted game between our Hampden Academy boys varsity team and the Brewer Witches, of which there was quite a gap in from what would be the actual attendance and the attendance that was recorded. Got some great feedback, had some great conversations over this past few days, and one of the things that was pointed out is that there are a number of folks that are comped. Right, so your ticket you may not have to pay for, you get in for free, which is fine if that's the way that it operates. And I know that that's great. We're talking about our teachers, talking about administrators, board members, athletes. So at that point in time, when our athletes, and but if you're going to comp those, that you need to be accounted for. Right, each one of those seats has a value. If you're a student, it costs $1 to get a seat. If you're an adult, it costs $4 to get a seat. So for every ticket that's comped, the person should still get a ticket. They just wouldn't pay for it, but they give you a realistic idea of how many people are actually there. There also was the talk of season ticket holders. Well, in the documentation that we received, there is no documentation around season ticket holders. There is no documentation of any pre-sales that may have happened. There is no documentation of the tickets that were comped. So all we have is a number 642 against a full gymnasium. So once again, if the proper controls were in place, there would be no question. But now there is the question, where's the money? And I will tell you, doing some math from our ED 297 form for our teachers and what have you, we don't have that many teachers, even if all of them went. We don't have that many winter athletes, even if all of them went. We don't have that many board members, even if all of them went. And as a former three-sport varsity athlete, back starting my spring of my sophomore year, I paid for all the events I went to. Even when I was the captain of the boys basketball team, when I went to see the girls basketball play, I paid. Well, I am supporting the team. When I was a board member, I paid every time I went in. A couple of times I think it was offered to me that I didn't have to, but I paid. Why? It was my understanding that the money that I was paying was going to support our athletic program and for the turf replacement fund. It's the right thing to do. My daughter, entering high school as an athlete, will be paying each time she goes in, even if she's told she doesn't have to. Right thing to do. Nothing against anybody that gets a comp ticket. That is perfectly fine. I would never hold a benefit against anybody, but once again, the proper procedures are not in place. So we do not understand what the full, who was there? What's the attendance? So one thing to kind of look for is, is this just a one-off or is this a trend? So if we look at a spreadsheet that we've been compiling as we've looked at this, and I will tell you, after we did call this audit, or not audit, but this FOA request as complete, we're not going to follow up on this one. We're going to move on to FOA request number 2. Remember, there are more than one that were coming. Now, this one, after 250 days plus, which is well over the 10-day time frame in which the documents are supposed to be presented, the district administrator, our superintendent, was not able to provide full documentation for all the events. There are events that happen that are documented. Some of us were there, but there is no documentation of the event. Where is it? Who knows? I'm not sure how they came up with the numbers that they put on the financial records that they gave for our audit or that they used for the referendum or what have you, if you don't have all the documents. Or maybe there are just some they do not want to pass over, but that's for another time. But if you look at the spreadsheet, you'll see that in 2014 and 15, you'll see that the average attendance for a boys varsity basketball game was 248. If If you look at 2015-16 from recorded audience, it was 314. If you look at 16 and 17, it would be 228. So that would be an average of tickets of 264 per game, which would be approximately 20 to 23% capacity. So you have about 75% to 80% of your gym on any given night would be empty. Now, taking consideration some of the comp tickets or what have you, I guess when I went to a boys basketball game pretty full, maybe are we comping 800, 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, who knows? Tens of thousands of dollars not accounted for, either in comp tickets or fees. With the process that we have, do we even know that all the financial records that the gate folks fill out and sign and go, since we don't have a reconciliation process, do we know that they all made it all the way to the deposit? I don't know. Right? Who does know? Okay. So once again, when you think about it, this wasn't about the folks that volunteer. I know most of the names that I saw there. I redacted those names from the previous entry on purpose. I call most of them friends, trust them. But even when I was on the finance committee of the former church, we had two people kind of money. Why not? Because people that trust us would protect us. Strong controls, oversight, procedures, protect those folks that are involved. We all know, and if you think about, remember, trust me, wink, wink. We all know that if anything were to happen, any questions that are asked, it's going to go top down. And we have a leader who seems very comfortable in providing less than the full truth, if any. Wink, wink. So that's why we need the controls and procedures, as was recommended in previous audits. Have someone come in, a third party. All this work I've done in the 2 years I was on the board, when I first escalated concerns about the warrant process and the financial management of our district back in June of 2016, all the way through to my resignation through to here, all I've been asking for and all I've been recommending is independent third party to come take a look. Now, the answer that you normally get is cost. While the costs that I've heard thrown out by some of the folks on the board, they must think something's wrong, because the amount of billable hours to get to the number they throw out would definitely say there's something wrong if that many hours is going to take. If they thought everything was okie dokie, the hours would be quite a lot less, and they would go ahead and do it. But they've also been sitting on this for a couple of years, as far as, interesting. But they did not have any problem during previous teacher negotiations when I was on the board. I was spending over $15,000 in 4 months on legal consultation for teacher negotiations. Yeah, let's make it a little tougher on our teachers. So 15 grand, but we can't spend any money to have a third party come in and tell us if we have any opportunities with our financial dealings. We can't do that to put the proper controls in place. We're supposed to just go by the word of, trust me, wink, wink. I have not, to date, accused anybody of embezzling funds or committing fraud. That would be more of a criminal referral. Not my place. But what I have tried to illustrate, and hopefully you can see, is there is nothing in place to prevent either. Till next time.